I believe in order for me to affect the masses in our community, the most important thing to me is I will instill in our children values of character, honesty, integrity, values that will make them an important and even a productive part of our society. Well, now, how do I intend to do this? Well, I believe that if we had X-ray eyes, kind of like Superman, and we could look inside a person, what we would see is more than just flesh and bone. Because see, if we could look at the very inside of a person, what we would see are their values, what they believe, what they think about life. Now these values, once they crystallize and manifest themselves, they become our subconscious program, or what we call our habits. Simply doing things the way we've always done them, habitually. We tie our shoes the same way every day. Our habits. Now our habits make up our attitude. And our attitude forms and supports our overall behavior. Now society has attempted to change people and kids in specific by going from the outside in. Our education system tells them, behave or fail. Our judicial system tells them, behave or jail. And our churches tell them, behave or hell. Now, all the way back in the 1950s, we've had psychological research that shows us that the concept of behavior modification is relatively ineffective. Anybody who's ever been on a diet will understand why this is true. And statistics show that these type of changes only work 3% of the time. That's why a person can lose 10 pounds and then gain it back in just a matter of weeks. Well, then next, coming into the early 60s, some of you may have heard of the positive mental attitude philosophy. If we can get a person to stay positive, we can change them. And a lot of rah speeches made a bunch of motivational speakers very rich in this effort to keep everybody positive and everybody happy. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not always positive. I don't care what anybody says. So once again, we have a philosophy that doesn't work. Well, then a few years later, somebody came up with the idea it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. If we can get a person to do or not do something for 21 days, it's forever settled. Now, anybody who's ever refrained from smoking for a month or so can certainly validate the ineffectiveness of this philosophy. So, if none of this stuff really works, how can simply just changing the values of a person significantly change the quality of life? Well, let's go back to the dieting issue for just a second. So you got a few pounds you're wanting to lose, and you can't seem to motivate yourself long enough to get on a diet and stay on it long enough to get it off. Your friends can't motivate you. Your family can't motivate you. But when you walk into the doctor's office on, say, just a routine checkup, and he comes in with that somber face and tells you that your blood pressure is extremely high and you have the beginning symptoms of diabetes. And he tells you if you don't control it now with diet, you're eventually going to have to control it with insulin shots. All of a sudden now you're motivated. Why? Because you value your health a little more than you value that Snickers bar. And see, when the value changes, the eating habits change. The attitude about dieting changes, and eventually your whole behavior changes. And smoking's the same way. No matter how many times you've tried to quit smoking in the past, when that doctor tells you, you have lung cancer, and I'm going to have to operate in order to remove it, because if I don't, you're going to die. All of a sudden, once again, you're motivated. Why? Because life becomes more important to you than that cigarette. And once again, when the value changes, the habit changes, the attitude changes, and ultimately, the behavior. Now, this is the really amazing thing about this, is one small change in the values makes a huge change by the time it gets out to the behavior. But how can I as one man, make any kind of significant difference in improving the quality of life of everybody in the New Orleans community? I don't know yet. But I do know and I believe that if I can convince one child the value that stealing is wrong, and that it carries moral and ethical consequences that don't make it worthwhile, if I can convince one bully kid to become a friend of the underdog, then I will have improved the quality of life for those kids and for those around them as well. Imagine, if you will, a 10,000-pound steel ball sitting on a perfectly flat surface. Now, one man can brace himself against this ball and eventually get it moving. Slowly, at a crawling pace at first, but eventually he can get it moving faster until he's walking with it, and finally faster and faster until he's running to keep up with it. Now, when he gets it up to running speed, 10 grown men jump in front of it. They get crushed beneath it. In other words, if I can change one that can change one, eventually we can change the entire city and the community and the quality of life for all of us. Now, it may not happen in my lifetime, but if I can just get the ball moving, maybe others will jump in and help me push. And when we get it up to running speed, nobody will be able to stop New Orleans from becoming a mecca of safety that others will want to visit for more than just our fun. And when this happens, the quality of life for all of us will be improved, and then we can truly say, New Orleans, proud to call it home.